What happens when a billionaire strips away the comfort of his executive office to scrub floors and clean toilets? Join us as we dive deep into the undercover life of a corporate mogul turned janitor, revealing secrets that will shock and inspire you. Jack Harrison, the billionaire mogul behind the global empire Harrison Enterprises, seems to have it all: success, wealth, and influence. His story is one of relentless ambition and unmatched intellect, having risen from a savvy entrepreneur in the tech industry to a titan of business with ventures spanning across continents. Yet beneath the sleek surface of this enviable life, Jack harbors a profound sense of emptiness. A decade ago, life seemed nearly perfect. Jack was deeply in love with Mia Thompson, a passionate and creative spirit who complemented his analytical prowess. They met during their early careers, and their connection was instant and deep. Maya, with her vibrant creativity, and Jack with his strategic acumen, felt destined to build a life together. Plans for a future marriage were on the horizon, with Jack ready to propose. However, their dreams crumbled unexpectedly when Mia vanished without explanation a week before their engagement announcement. She left behind just a mysterious note that hinted at protecting Jack from some unnamed danger. This disappearance left a gaping hole in Jack's heart and an unresolved puzzle in his mind. The years following Mia's departure saw Jack burying his personal anguish under layers of business deals and corporate expansions. His professional life soared, while his personal life became a series of superficial interactions. The luxury, accolades, and societal accolades could not fill the void left by Mia. The irony of his situation was not lost on him. A man who connected the world through technology, yet remained disconnected from true emotional bonds. Haunted by the unresolved questions and the ghost of his past love, Jack's inner turmoil grew. He felt increasingly isolated in his high-rise fortress, surrounded by the trappings of wealth, but lacking genuine human connections. One crisp autumn evening, at a high-profile charity gala organized in the grand ballroom of one of Manhattan's most prestigious hotels, fate intervened. Jack, who had become more reclusive from the social circuit, decided on a whim to attend the event. As he stepped into the opulent setting, his gaze was unexpectedly caught by a familiar figure across the room. It was Mia, looking timeless yet changed. Her presence at the gala not just a coincidence, but a moment of serendipity. Mia's sudden reappearance was not merely a shock, but a catalyst for an emotional and transformative journey that was about to unfold. As Jack watched her mingle with the guests, a flurry of emotions surged through him: hope, anger, confusion, and an overwhelming urge to uncover the truth behind her disappearance. As the gala progressed, Jack Harrison, overwhelmed by the sight of Mia, maneuvered through the crowds to approach her. A decade of questions and pent-up emotions bubbled beneath a calm facade. Their eyes met, stirring a storm of unresolved feelings. Mia, recognizing the urgency and pain in Jack's eyes, suggested they talk privately. Retreating to a quiet balcony overlooking the sparkling city lights, Jack confronted Mia. The air between them crackled with tension, as Jack, unable to contain his frustration, demanded answers. "Why did you leave, Mia? What were you protecting me from?" Mia's eyes, filled with a mix of sorrow and resolve, met his. The secret she had kept all these years, she revealed, involved a dangerous entanglement with a rival business magnate who had threatened Jack's life over a corporate espionage issue. Mia had disappeared to keep Jack safe, to ensure that his future would not be marred by her past mistakes. Jack's initial shock gave way to a torrent of mixed emotions: betrayal, for not trusting him with the truth; relief that she had acted out of love; and anguish for all the lost years. As they delved deeper into their conversation, Mia disclosed another monumental secret. She had a daughter, Emma, Jack's child, conceived just before her departure. This revelation redefined everything Jack thought he knew about his past and future. Reeling from the shock, Jack insisted on meeting Emma, leading to a small emotional reunion the next day. Seeing a part of himself in Emma's smile, Jack's perspective on his wealth and empire shifted fundamentally. The personal stakes of his business decisions, previously overshadowed by corporate agendas, now became painfully clear. Climax reached its peak as Jack openly criticized the company's previous strategies and outlined a new vision focused on ethical practices, family support programs, and employee well-being. His passionate plea for a more humane approach to business stunned the board and employees alike, many of whom had never seen this side of their CEO. Jack's transformation from a ruthless businessman to a leader who valued human connections above profits marked a poignant turning point. The meeting ended with applause, some skeptical, but most genuinely supportive of the new direction. Jack's bold stance invited both admiration and criticism, setting the stage for a challenging yet hopeful journey toward transforming his empire into a beacon of responsible business practices. This emotional high point not only redefined Jack's personal life, but also set a new course for his professional endeavors, promising to impact everyone connected with Harrison Enterprises. As the story unfolds, Jack's actions ripple through the corporate world, challenging his peers to reconsider their values and the true cost of their ambitions. Jack kept on doing everything possible to add value to his company and the lives of his employees. Once he even changed his lifestyle to know the internal challenges of the company employees. He transforms himself to even a janitor. Jack's transformation into his janitorial alias, Joe Saunders, marked the beginning of an eye-opening journey that thrust him into a world vastly different from the boardrooms and private jets he was accustomed to. Donning a simple uniform and pushing a cleaning cart through the very buildings he owned, Jack, now Joe, encountered the realities of the workers who kept his empire running day to day. Initially, the physical labor was a shock to his system. His hands, more familiar with touchscreen interfaces than with the abrasive chemicals of cleaning supplies, quickly became chafed and sore. Each toilet cleaned and each trash bin emptied was a humbling experience that chipped away at his ego and stripped him of the billionaire persona he had crafted over decades. As Joe delved deeper into his role, he began to interact more with his fellow employees. He met Linda, a single mother working 2 jobs within his companies just to make ends meet. Her days started before sunrise and often ended long after her children were asleep. Her strength and resilience in the face of exhaustion were both inspiring and heart-wrenching for Jack. Through Linda, he gained insight into the struggles of those balancing life on minimum wage, a stark contrast to the executive decisions about employee benefits made from high above. Then there was Michael, a young maintenance worker with a knack for mechanical systems. Michael had ideas for improving energy efficiency across the company's facilities, but his suggestions had never reached the ears of those in charge. As Joe, Jack found himself in a unique position to listen and recognize the untapped potential of his staff. This revelation was a blow to his perception of his company's meritocratic values and led him to question the barriers to communication within his corporate structure. The dismissive attitudes Jack encountered from some managers and executives while in his janitorial role added to the growing tension. He witnessed firsthand the casual indifference some showed to the janitorial staff, an indifference he had never noticed from his corner office. This treatment sparked a fiery determination in Jack to address the cultural disparities within his workforce. One particularly jarring incident involved witnessing a safety violation that was casually overlooked by a supervisor, leading to a minor accident. Although no one was seriously injured, the incident underscored the potential consequences of neglect and lack of accountability, a failure in leadership that Jack could no longer ignore. Haunted by these experiences, Jack found himself at a crossroads. The dual life he led began to weigh heavily on him, the divide between CEO and janitor blurring as his empathy for his employees deepened. His evenings were no longer filled with business dinners and networking events. Instead, they were consumed with reflection on his own leadership and the stark realities of those he employed. Each revelation added a piece to a complex puzzle. Jack's understanding of his company and his role within it was shifting. The deeper he ventured into the lives of his employees, the more he realized the changes that were necessary. The ethical dilemmas and moral questions he faced fueled a growing internal conflict that would eventually lead him to make transformative decisions not just for himself, but for the entire trajectory of his company. At the heart of the glittering annual conference held at the headquarters of Harrison Enterprises, where executives and employees gathered to celebrate milestones and forge new strategies, Jack, still undercover as Janitor Joe Saunders, faced a pivotal moment. Unknown to the crowd, he was prepared to unveil not just his true identity, but a torrent of transformative revelations. The day's agenda was disrupted by an urgent notification: a severe accident at one of the warehouses, where safety measures had been overlooked in favor of cost-saving measures pushed by upper management. Among the injured was Michael, the young maintenance worker Jack had grown to admire and respect. Michael had been attempting to repair a piece of heavy machinery that had long needed replacing. Rushing to the scene before the conference resumed, Jack's worst fears materialized as he saw the consequences of neglected safety protocols. Michael, caught under fallen debris, was critically injured. At that moment, Jack's frustration and anger towards the company's leadership, which prioritized profits over people, reached its boiling point. Returning to the conference, Jack's planned revelation took on a new urgency. As the session on workforce efficiencies began, discussing further cost reductions including layoffs, Jack could no longer maintain his facade. Interrupting the proceedings, he stepped forward, the room falling into shocked silence as he began to speak not as Joe, but as Jack Harrison. "Today, we are not celebrating successes," Jack declared, his voice echoing through the stunned room. "We are witnessing the failings of a culture that I have allowed to prioritize profit over the safety and well-being of our people." The crowd murmured, executives whispering amongst themselves as Jack continued, "I have walked among you, not as your CEO, but as Joe, and what I have seen has both humbled and horrified me." He detailed the negligence and disconnect he had witnessed, the stories of overlooked employees, and the dire consequences of the leadership's decisions. As he spoke, images of the accident and testimonials from employees like Linda and Michael were displayed behind him, bringing the reality of his words to life. Effective immediately, we are not just halting the proposed layoffs, but we are also instituting new measures to ensure that safety and employee well-being are at the heart of all business decisions. As Jack shed his janitorial disguise, removing his work clothes to reveal the suit underneath, the symbol of his dual experience became clear. The room burst into a mixture of applause and disbelief. Some executives were defensive, but many employees felt a surge of hope. Jack's reveal forced the company to confront its flaws head-on. He proposed a new initiative to integrate employee feedback directly into executive meetings and announced significant investments in both safety improvements and employee development programs. The climax not only dramatically exposed the hidden truths of Harrison Enterprises, but also set a new course for the company. It marked a profound change in leadership and corporate ethos, spearheaded by a leader who had learned the hardest lessons by walking a mile in the shoes of his most vulnerable employees. This moment of unmasking and the passionate plea for change resonated deeply, initiating a wave of reforms that would ripple through the entire organization. In the days following Jack Harrison's dramatic revelation and the profound shifts announced at the conference, the atmosphere within Harrison Enterprises began to change palpably. The initial shock and disbelief that had rippled through the ranks gave way to a cautious optimism as Jack put his words into action. The first step Jack took was to establish an open-door policy at all levels of the company. He initiated Walk-in Wednesdays, where employees at any level could schedule time to discuss their ideas or concerns directly with him or other senior leaders. This move was met with enthusiasm and a bit of skepticism, but as the weeks went by, it proved to be a cornerstone of the new culture Jack was determined to build. Simultaneously, Jack set up a task force dedicated to revising the company's safety protocols and operational policies. This group was not composed only of executives, but included representatives from every department and level within the company, especially those from the operational front lines, like the warehouse where the accident had occurred. This task force was charged with identifying key areas where safety and efficiency could be improved without compromising employee welfare. To address the grievances aired during his unmasking, Jack also introduced a company-wide survey tool that allowed for anonymous feedback. This tool was implemented to give everyone a voice, particularly those who might feel intimidated to speak up in less private settings. The responses were reviewed personally by Jack and his team to understand better the concerns and needs of their employees. Another significant change was the establishment of a new training program for all managers, focusing on leadership and empathy. This program was designed to ensure that all company leaders could identify with and support their teams effectively, fostering a culture of respect and understanding across all levels of the organization. Jack's efforts extended beyond internal policies and cultural shifts. He publicly acknowledged the company's past missteps in a series of press releases and interviews, committing to a transparent roadmap for change that was shared not only with employees, but also with customers and stakeholders. This transparency helped to restore trust and reassured the market of the company's commitment to responsible business practices. In a poignant gesture of reconciliation and commitment to change, Jack organized a town hall meeting at the warehouse where the accident had occurred. There, he announced the establishment of a new health and welfare fund, financed by the company, to support employees facing medical emergencies or financial hardships due to workplace accidents. Throughout these weeks, Jack's presence in the daily operations of the company became more pronounced. He frequently visited different departments, not just to oversee the changes but to engage with his team, often helping out in tasks, whether it was on the factory floor or in the coding labs. This hands-on leadership style helped to mend fences and build genuine connections with the workforce. Months after the transformative events at the conference and the subsequent changes implemented at Harrison Enterprises, the tangible effects of Jack Harrison's new leadership approach had permeated every corner of the company. Employee morale was notably higher, a change evident in the lively interactions and spirited collaborations occurring across departments. Turnover rates had significantly decreased, and productivity metrics across the company showcased an impressive uptick. Jack's commitment to fostering a culture of respect and empathy was now deeply embedded in the company's operations. Feedback from the new communication channels he established was overwhelmingly positive, with employees expressing appreciation for the genuine efforts to consider their welfare and ideas in company decisions. The Walk-in Wednesdays had become a particularly popular aspect of Jack's initiatives, symbolizing his open and inclusive approach to leadership. In a reflective moment during the company's annual review, Jack shared insights into his personal journey with the entire team, broadcasted live across all company sites. This past year has been one of profound reflection and decisive action, Jack began, his voice resonant with sincerity. I embarked on a journey not just to transform Harrison Enterprises, but to redefine what it means to lead in the modern world. Seeing the world through your eyes has been the most humbling and enlightening experience of my professional life. He spoke of the challenges and the setbacks, of the moments of doubt when the path forward seemed fraught with uncertainty. Yet, each of these challenges was met with a commitment to persevere, driven by the collective spirit and dedication of every employee at the company. The new policies, including the revamped safety protocols and the leadership training programs, had dramatically improved the work environment. The Health and Welfare Fund had already assisted dozens of employees during unforeseen crises, reinforcing a safety net that promoted a sense of security and loyalty among the staff. Perhaps most significantly, Jack's decision to maintain his practice of going undercover annually had kept him closely connected to the pulse of the company. It was a unique strategy that kept his leadership grounded and responsive. Continuing to walk in your shoes is not just a practice but a promise, Jack declared in his address, a promise to never lose sight of the ground on which this company stands. Moreover, Jack's personal transformation had become a beacon of innovative leadership in the broader business community. Harrison Enterprises was frequently cited in industry discussions and media as a leading example of how businesses could thrive through ethical practices and genuine employee engagement. Other companies began to look to Harrison for guidance on implementing similar changes, sparking a movement towards more humane corporate environments in the industry. Reflecting on his journey, Jack acknowledged the dual nature of his transformation, both as a leader and as a person. He had begun this journey isolated by his wealth and status, disconnected from the true assets of his empire, its people. Now, he stood as a leader not above, but among his team, enriched by the diversity of their experiences and the honesty of their contributions. As the documentary on his journey concluded, Jack walked through the newly renovated open-plan office space of Harrison Enterprises, among employees who no longer saw him as a distant executive, but as a mentor and ally. The final scenes showed Jack, no longer just overseeing but actively participating in the day-to-day activities. His leadership style forever changed. By the year he spent walking a mile in a myriad of other shoes. Call to action. If this story moved you, share it to inspire others with the power of empathy and leadership. Subscribe for more real-life tales of transformation and courage. How would you change your approach if you were in Jack's shoes? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.